This is David Andrew Wiebe Interviews and Music Business Podcast, episode number 12 for June 2010. As I record this, however, we're already into July, so I apologize that I'm a little bit behind. One of the reasons I'm behind is because I was on vacation for 2 weeks in June, and I went to Portland, Oregon, as well as Southern California, but I'll talk more about that another time. For now, let's get to the news items. On July 10th, I'll be playing at the Wild Rose Brewery for an event benefiting the Weekend to End Women's Cancers. If you are planning on attending, make sure that you are 18 plus and come with an open mind, as there will be a variety of performers there. I've been threatening to redesign my website, and now it's finally done. Unfortunately, I'm not quite finished restructuring the content, but I think it's a vast improvement on the previous incarnation. Make sure to check it out at www.daw-music.com. And those are all the news items I have for today, but make sure to check back periodically at my website for further updates. I have a couple of shows coming up in August with Adrenalize, the Def Leppard tribute band I've been playing with, but it's also possible that we'll be playing a show in July, so make sure to check back often. Now let's move on to some music headlines. Prince will be giving away his latest album 2010 in European newspapers and magazines. Apparently 2.5 million copies will be distributed in countries like UK, Germany, France, and Belgium. Of course, his label and various retailers didn't take too kindly to this, which is a little surprising in this day and age because more and more independent musicians are actually giving away their music, and some are even finding more popularity that way. So I think it's actually a smart move on Prince's part to release it for free. And I think it's actually a very good marketing strategy because people first have to hear the music to like it, and then when they like it, then they buy it. Another news item. Reclusive singer Lauryn Hill is set to make a comeback and has started performing at festivals. There is no definite answer as to whether there will be a new album and when it will be released. However, she is hopeful that it will come out. It's just a matter of time. I had heard rumors that she had wrecked her voice, but apparently that is not the case, and she's just been busy with 5 kids. The only question I still have is, where's Remy Shand? Another news item. It has been rumored that Van Halen will be releasing a new album in the first half of 2011. The lead singer will be none other than the original frontman, David Lee Roth. Now, apparently things between Eddie and David still aren't that good, but it would be definitely interesting to see what sort of new material they come up with, and it'd be definitely interesting to hear the new material. And those are some of the music headlines that I found interesting. I recently made a new blog post on my website entitled My Summer Plans, the Economic Recession, and How to Mow Your Lawn with a Weed Eater, and I thought I would share it with you. My backyard was starting to look like a nature preserve, so I decided it was time to take care of the lawn. All I have in my arsenal is a hand-push mower and weed eater. I don't believe a weed eater was ever designed to cut an entire lawn, but there was no way I could force my way through 3 feet of growth with a hand-push mower. Naturally, I ended up using the weed eater for the entire job. I like to listen to a bit of music while I do yard work, so I put on my iPod on shuffle and went about it. I usually put it on shuffle when I can't decide what I want to listen to. While I was cutting the grass, a song by Cutlass came on. The song really spoke to me, so I decided to listen through the rest of the album. This is going to sound like a bit of a detour, but I promise it will all fit together at the end. Well, maybe. While I was working outside, I got to thinking about my current financial situation. I've seen God work miracles in it, but I've also hit a couple of lower points in the last 10 months. I'm currently in the middle of another low point. It's easy to feel discouraged when things aren't going exactly as you planned. I'm thankful that I have a roommate who pays me rent, and I still have students to teach, at least until the end of June. But in the meantime, I'm not sure how I'm going to pay all my bills. I got to think about how a lot of people are in a tough place financially right now. Certainly my family is struggling at the moment. Those of you who know me know that I've been shrugging this economic recession off as the quote-unquote imagined recession, but I know that's not entirely fair to those who have lost their jobs or are struggling to make ends meet. I'm also facing that reality. While I was listening to the Cutlass album, a song called What Faith Can Do came on. Here's an excerpt of the lyrics. I've seen dreams that move the mountains. Hope that doesn't ever end. Even when the sky's falling, I've seen miracles just happen. Silent prayers get answered. Broken hearts become brand new. That's what faith can do. It's important to keep your faith in God, even when things are tough, because that's what He works with. My problem is very real, but I believe that God can turn it around. Another little detour. Earlier this month, I was talking to God about what to do with my summer, and I believe this is what He told me. Number 1, go and work at the AYF youth camp, and number 2, go fishing. At this point, I'm not sure how I can do either of these things without the finances. Now I'm getting to my point. I'm going to be looking for summer work in the coming weeks, but I would also ask you to prayerfully consider hiring me this summer. I've been told I'm pretty decent at guitar, so if you're having a barbecue, birthday party, house party, corporate function, or any kind of event that requires music, please consider bringing me out. I promise my rates are reasonable, and it doesn't even need to be formal concert format. I could simply mingle among your friends and add a little atmosphere to the party. Send me an email, and we can talk more. Additionally, I will gladly do some of your grunt work for a fair price. If you need to get your lawn mowed, fences painted, or anything to that extent, you can email me. I'm also pretty good with computers. Is your computer running slow? Do you need a website, graphics? You can just email me, and we can work something out. Thanks for reading, and I hope you have a blessed summer. If you're the praying type, please continue to pray for me and keep me in your thoughts. There are a lot of things going on right now, and I could certainly use the support. Thanks. Now, just to clarify a few things, I mentioned earlier about the AYF youth camp. It costs about $140 to register as a counselor, so that's why it requires finances on my part. Now, I also mentioned my email. So my email address is actually david@daw-music.com. I'm certainly not asking that you give financial support, but if you do feel inclined or you are able, I do have a donate button up on the podcast blog. And that is located at www.daw-music.com/daw-podcast. As you may already know, the David Andrew Wiebe Interviews and Music Business Podcast does not bring in any income on its own. I've set up a few different ways in which you can help support future episodes of the podcast. Number 1, purchase an album or any of the merchandise in my store, www.daw-music.com/store.html. 2, make donations via PayPal. Click on the donate button on the left sidebar on the podcast blog. 3, share these podcast episodes with your friends, forward them the link, or use any of the social media links offered on the site. 4, suggest new ideas for the podcast. If you know of anyone that would be a good fit for an interview, or if there are any topics you think I should be covering, please email me at david@daw-music.com. We'd love to hear any comments you may have on this show. Please email me at david@daw-music.com or leave a comment in the show notes. Thanks a lot for listening today. This podcast is a little shorter, but I hope you enjoyed this episode regardless. There should be some more interviews coming up. Keith Scrastons may return as a co-host here shortly, and same with Patrick Zielinski. So definitely be interesting to see what's coming next. You've been listening to the David Andrew Wiebe Interviews and Music Business Podcast, broadcasting from Calgary, Alberta, Canada.